Alrighty, hello everybody, it's Lisa Quilting in the Valley, and we are going to talk about lesson number 3 on your new Jumbo Bobbin Bernina. Today I'm going to show you in the settings area how to set your machine for your preferences, and then we're going to talk about buttonholes because this is slick. Alright, we're going to go into, on the 4 and the 5 series, you're going to touch the little home. On the 7 and 8 series, these buttons are already displayed at the bottom of your screen. I'm going to go into settings. Again, I've got my breadcrumbs going on up here. I'm going to touch this right here, which is like a symbol of a utility stitch, and I get this screen. Now, some of you have more things filled in on this box. So your 8 and your 790, your 880 and 790 will have more options in here. But for the rest of us, here are some options we have. If your machine has the programmable foot control enabled, we can touch the foot control, check my breadcrumbs. So I'm in settings, the utility stitch, and the foot control. You then have this option. Now the 435, I don't believe has this option. The 475 does not have this option. The 480, I believe you can choose needle up and down. So you're not gonna have the heart, I believe. I may be lying. I hope I'm not lying. But anyway, the rest of you are able to choose the heart. So you see there's this button right here. That means with my foot pedal only, when I kick on the heel of my foot pedal, my needle is gonna go up or down, just with the back heel kick. I don't use it that way. I like mine to do more. So if I touch the heart, automatically I have 4 different things that have been highlighted. Remember from the lesson number 2, if you had the white box around, it was activated. So all of these things right now are activated. So it's set to do a tie-off stitch. This little indicator means a tie-off stitch in one location. So it'll just go beep, 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 make a little knot. I can choose to do that, which goes beep, 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 so a forward and back, and you can choose how many stitches it does. I personally do not like tie-offs. I don't like the extra thickness underneath. But I do like to cut my thread and raise my presser foot with my foot control. So I have my machine set like this. If you're going to go do ruler work or something else like that where you don't want to mistakenly cut your thread, you need to remember to come back in here, again, settings, then the utility stitches, then the foot pedal, and choose that needle up, down only. That way you won't accidentally cut your thread. And then you can just easily switch right back to where you left it, and that's where I left it. Cut the thread, raise the presser foot. In order to you can't try this while the screen is open. In order to actually try it out, you have to close that screen, and then you can go into your sewing and you can try out your foot pedal. So if I hit my foot pedal, there it goes. Cutting my thread, raising my presser foot. Okay, so let's go back in there. Again, I'm in settings. I'm in that utility stitch. And now I'm going to show you how to set hover. The other thing, by the way, this is set to always start off with a set stitch. I don't do that because I don't like that little knot. I'm going to go set my hover. So hover is when your foot just barely rises just a little bit. So when you're chain piecing, you can get the next bit of fabric underneath the foot without having to lift and lower your foot all the time. So I'm going to go to this little guy, the lobster claw. That's what I call them. Weep, weep, weep. Lobster claw. Touch that. And you get all kinds of options in here. We're not going to get into anything else right now except hover. So we're going to talk about hover, which is the needle. You're going to touch the needle. You see how the picture of the needle shows the needle down? That's an indicator for you. This only works in the needle down position. So we'll touch that. And now you get 3 options. Your foot always stops down. Your foot goes to hover, which is just a little raise, or your foot goes all the way up. So I've just set it to hover, which will only work if I have my needle set to stop down. So again, here's my breadcrumbs. I'm in settings, the utility stitch, lobster claw, and the needle. And then I can choose which one of those I want. Again, it doesn't work until I close out and go to sewing. So now I can go in on my little piece of scrap fabric and I can stitch, 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 stitch. I stop and it just, oops, yeah, it just lifts just a smidge. I go, Just a smidge. Did you see it just pop just a tiny little bit, just so that I could get the next piece of fabric under. And if I want to cut, there I go. Okay, so that is how you get in and out of those two functions, to set your machine for those two functions. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you this time around is the buttonhole foot. So there's two different buttonhole foots. You got one with your machine. You got the 3A, which is the automatic buttonhole foot with your machine. The 3C is another buttonhole foot that is available if you want to make buttonholes that are larger than 1 1/4 inches long. So the 3A, which came with your machine, will do buttonholes up to 1 1/4 inches long. So, as usual, we're going to change our foot by pushing the lever back, dropping the foot down. For a buttonhole, you want to make sure you have your 9mm plate on. I'm going to come up under here, put our buttonhole foot on. Now, this is the magic with the Bernina buttonhole foot. I'm going to go into the buttonhole folder, which is right there. I'm going to touch that. I get all these different options of buttonhole styles that I can choose from. I just want just a plain little buttonhole. So that's going to be my buttonhole. How do I know that it's the right size? Well, I'll tell you. I'm going to touch the little I button and see where this is right here. This little says REC and it has 16mm. I'm going to touch that and I get that picture. I'm going to take my button. I'm going to put my button right there and I'm going to dial that circle to match the diameter of my button. Now I'm going to hit the X. Oops, drop my button. And now I'm going to put this down here. I'm going to hold this in to start. And I'm going to let it do its thing. And I have just made a buttonhole that is perfectly sized for that button. That can't be a heck of a lot easier. I mean, that's just about as easy as you can get right there. Perfect size buttons, just dial it to size. Easy peasy. All right, next time around, we will show you some more things in that settings folder. We'll talk about the reverse stitch, programming it into other things, and we'll show you the button sew-on foot, which is a cool foot. That'll be for next time. In the meantime, practice messing around with your buttons and adjusting the size of your buttonholes, and go ahead and get that foot control set the way you like it and your hover set the way you like it. And we'll talk to you next time.